Hi, and welcome to the channel. Today I will be reviewing the film The Kingsman. This is a prequel to the original two Kingsmen. I saw it in the theaters. It was not a Dolby Atmos theater or anything like that. It was just the standard format, but it did have, it's an upgrade theater with 4K projectors and all that. So I'm not going to go too much into the video and audio quality. Those I typically save more for at home, because it's hard to review based on equipment that's at a movie theater to equipment that's home, which, to be honest, I actually think my home theater sounds better than a lot of commercial grade theaters, but that's besides the point. So going into the film, The Kingsman, I didn't have too much high hopes for this film. I am a big fan of the original two Kingsman movies, the Golden Circle and the first one. I feel that, if you go into those movies expecting like some amazing story, you're probably in the wrong movie. These are more for action. They're similar to that of like John Wick, even though they're a completely different style of action. It's kind of the same concept. You're not expecting like some amazing storytelling. You just want it to be good enough storytelling to go along with the action. Because believe me, there could be films where there's a lot of action and the storytelling is just god awful that it just doesn't make up for it. But there's a good balance with the Kingsman movies, the first two, and as an example to compare it to, same with the 3 John Wick films. But having said that, even though I'm a fan of the first 2 films, I didn't have high expectations for this. It's it's a prequel. It doesn't have the characters that we already know and like from the original 2 films. And it's leading up to how the Kingsmen are formed. So with that being said, I expected there to be some down points, and based on the time period, I expected there not to be all the cool gadgets that we see in the new Kingsman films. With that though, I have to say I didn't like this film too much. It's one of those films that it's a movie. Like, I don't feel I wasted my time watching it, and I'm not like, oh, I want my time back. But it's also a film that I don't really see myself ever needing to revisit again. I will when it comes out on 4K disc, because I'll do an at-home review where I review the audio video and just kind of give my previous score. I won't go too depth into film review at that point, since I'm doing one now. But during watching the film, I just couldn't find myself to care about the characters, and that's not a fault of it being new characters. Of course, I like the characters from the other 2 films, but even having said that, I couldn't find myself to care much about any of these characters in this film, really at all. I don't want to put spoilers in this too much, but there's one part about halfway through the film that is a very, very unexpected. It's like one of those moments that you definitely don't see coming, and so I don't want to touch base on what that was, but I could tell you that the characters involved in that scene, again, he was kind of a build-up character. Like, I just couldn't find myself to care about these characters throughout the whole film. I just never cared about the characters at all. And it's not as bad writing. I think Matthew Vaughn's a great filmmaker. I love the Kick-Ass films. I love the first 2 Kingsmen. I think X-Men First Class is the second best X-Men film behind only Logan. So that says a lot. But again, I think this is his weak point. Of all his films he's made, I actually would say this was the worst of them. And again, I don't feel it was a bad movie. I certainly don't think it was a good movie. It was just an okay movie. The only one I could kind of give that similar feel to was the first Hitman's Bodyguard, where I was the same thing. I don't think it was a bad movie. I didn't feel I wasted my time, but I never see myself wanting to watch it ever again. But in the Hitman's Bodyguard, I did care about those characters a bit. Like, I feel like I had a a liking to them and cared about their progression and story. Whereas in this film, I did not. I all I wanted was to get to the action and the cool gadgets. And you go into a Kingsman film expecting the action, you know, just like if you were going into a John Wick film. And it's not that this one didn't have action, but it was a lot less times. Like there's a lot less action time on the screen in comparison to the first two films where there is a lot of action. And you know, you want story to go with the action, and there is a story in this film, but it's more story than film, where you're just not getting the action scenes. And it'd be a little odd, I guess, if they just threw them in there just to have them, you know, but that's what storytelling is for. You build a story around each action scene. But these ones, even some of the action scenes almost still kind of felt out of place. Like there's one scene, which it's not spoiling anything because it's been in the trailers, where the Russian guy, the guy with the long hair and beard, and he's fighting some of the Kingsmen, and while he's fighting them, it kind of becomes like a silly dance, and it's I don't know, it just felt weird. It just, you know, yeah, I wasn't, you know, impressed with the scene at all. I wasn't invested into the film, and it's got a decent runtime. It's over 2 hours, which is the average for films these days. But you know, it does drag a lot. You know, I did find myself very bored at times, and there's a lot of, you know, time between the action scenes, and then the action scenes when they are there aren't that great, at least for the first half of the film. The second half of the film, the action scenes do get better in my opinion. You know, some of them are very, very cool, just like the coolness you get from the first two Kingsman films, but they're not as good, you know, and they're victim of the time period that they selected. Now, I saw it with my wife. She kind of had the same thoughts as I did, as far as, you know, she doesn't go into character development and all that, but she, you know, just was like, it was okay. You know, she was bored at times. And my son, he enjoyed it a lot more than we did. He, you know, I guess he could do his own review if he wanted to, but he, just to kind of give different perspectives, he really likes those time period films. He loves World War I stuff, and that's the time period that this is set around. So he enjoyed it more than us, but even he said it was by far the worst of the three films. So if you like the first two films, you still may not like this film. If you like time period films like World War I, you might like this film. It is not a war movie, so if you're looking for that, it's not going to happen. That's it. Yeah, I just didn't find it that great. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. And giving it my score, I'm going to give it, I was between a 5.8 and a 6.1, so we'll just go right in the middle of that and say, you know, well, 59.5 would be in the middle. So I'll give it a little benefit of the doubt, and I'll give it a 6. So a 6 flat is my score for the Kingsman. Alright, and if you haven't already, please like this video, leave your comments below on your thoughts on the film, what you thought, and very grateful if you would subscribe to the channel. I'm a new channel, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit that, I will be doing giveaways on every 4K disc review I do. I will be giving away that 4K disc. So please subscribe so that you are alerted when we get new videos, and support the channel. Thank you. Bye.